Good morning, Yas.
Okay, good afternoon. Hope everyone's well. Okay, sorry, I wasn't focusing. I was looking for a failed breakout, stroke 2 legs down to go long there, but it did nothing, all of a sudden shut up, so that solved that problem. So, Karina, good morning to you. Right, my apologise about my hair. I've been absolutely butchered. There's a guy that usually cuts my hair, and he's on holiday, so someone else did it, and I said number 2 back in size, and I meant low down, and she's shaved me. I've been stripped. So let's see how we get on here. See if we can get a little pullback here. But we've had PPI, I think. Yeah, PPI, that big move down with a break and a new low. It's hard to know whether to go along there because there was always a possibility that we were going to do something further down. You know, sometimes we'll do this and then it'll lose it and continue down. So... but then we had nothing really. And that was the bar, that was the signal bar, and the move had already been done and dusted. And so how we get on today anyway. So we got a leg up. I think there's a good chance we get a leg up. So if we can get a second entry long off the top, we may get something. I'm just gonna say get an order ready. This thing looks like it might drop. I'm going to wait a second. See if we can get a second entry long. I think there's a good chance this may go higher. You just never know, though. I was messing around with that, which is possible. See if we get any type of reaction there. It's going to get an order ready.
Order submitted.
See if we can get a second entry long. It just hit that line and took off, so we may not. Well, there is a possibility. It could be something like that. Maybe, no, maybe not. Let's see if we can get a second entry long here. Wait on that. We had 2 bounces off the top. Channel break. New high. See, I'm just looking at this. There is a second entry long there, but I don't like it. It's right in the middle, so I'm going to wait for a higher low. If we can get a higher low up here, this thing may go higher. It's a bit hard to say at the moment. It could do anything. It's kind of right in the middle. Certainly wouldn't do anything there. There is a failure there, but I can't see it going anywhere. Could be, I don't know. There's nothing you can do here in a minute. It could go either way, up or down. Nobody knows. Okay, so if we can get a higher low, I may have a go at that. 2 attempts to go low, it may push up. It's hard to say. Does that disappear too? I'm going to pop that out of the way a minute. Okay. That's interesting. I think I'd be short in there. Probably there's some buyers there. I think this is going to push down and clear all this out. It's very tempting, that. There's bound to be stops there. It could be 2 legs up and then down. It's very tempting, that is. It's just a little bit congested, and rightly so. I'm glad I left it. It's a bit congested around here, so I think you've just got to be a bit careful. I'm just wondering whether that's put that a little bit higher. Maybe would it be there? That'd be too much, wouldn't it? Yeah, it's a bit sideways. It's hard to know. So we've got a channel with a break, new high. Could be a couple of legs and then down. It's hard to say at the moment. It's not super clear. My initial thoughts were it was going to continue up, but then it started going sideways. I don't think you can take that. It's just not clear. Maybe two legs up, but there's nothing you can really do here. Let's see what happens here. So we've got a channel with a break, two attempts to push higher. This could flush right down, but it could catch you out. But this may be a triple test looking thing there. I was looking at this actually. We got 1, 2, 3. It looked like a triple test, that did. 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. But there's just something about this price action I'm not a fan of. We've got a leg up and sideways. Often, as we know, we go up, across, and up. So maybe, oh, I don't know. I'm just, well, there's so many maybes around. I think the simple answer is to do nothing. So I think there's a fair chance we get a couple of legs. There's one, there's the second. Up there. So big move down, maybe a couple of attempts. It could still continue down this. It's hard to say. A channel break, two attempts push higher. Yeah, there's too many ifs and buts. What's Thomas Wade looking at? I do like his opinion as well. Yeah, pretty much got the same as me. In fact, what he hasn't got is that. I don't think it matters so much now. Yeah, he's pretty much the same thing as me. Single channel with a break. He's got this channel up here, just a little bit of chopped sideways. And he's got that move up, and that's where his kind of ends. If there is any type of a spike in a channel, possibly. It's tough to say. The chart doesn't look any different. Ah, look at that. Dan's literally posted this 38 right this second, so we're looking at the same thing anyway, spike and channel. Trouble is this could be a bear flag. This thing may absolutely drop. It's hard to say, isn't it? We had that big move down. Sometimes we recover a lot of this. We're getting a chunk of support across there. We had some there and there. We seem to be getting some support across here. So this thing does kind of resemble a bear flag, doesn't it? Not that I follow these things, but it does a bit. Kind of 3 main attempts. So we push down, we go 1, 2, 3. This thing could drop. So I'm going to make a bold prediction here. I think there is a possibility that that thing could go down like that. Sorry about the wonky arrow. So we got 1, 2, 3 touches and then down. Oh, this is all guesswork. I don't follow patterns, but just the way we've got that big move down, just the way this is moving, it could drop. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I would be cautious about taking a setup here. All of a sudden we get a big move. Let me just make that a bit more obvious. Definitely finding something across here. Yeah, don't pay any attention to this. This is just guesswork. Just a big move down like that. 1, 2, 3 clear attempts, and it may drop. Kind of like a bear flag. Not that I follow them. I've just got this interesting giant mouse mat in front of me that shows it's the Genius Trader. I don't know how genius they are, but it shows continuation, the downside, continuation, the upside, reversal up, reversal down, and a bunch of other ones as well. Bottom in pattern, descending channel, bullish flag, double top, head and shoulders, so on and so forth. So I have a inkling this may go. We'll see. Sam, how you doing, buddy? I'll trade in pre-market. That's well, I tend to trade from around about 130. I got into a trade. It was on my other charts there, and I bottled it and got out. No, it wasn't. It was on here. It was a failure there. Yeah. We had a second entry short of that one there. I got into that. It went up, came down, and I bottled it. So it did work. Part of the reason why I liked it is on my other chart we had a nice higher low there, but I kind of missed that. So I don't know. I got a few ticks off it. 3 ticks I think I got off it. Yeah. I tend to look at the charts. I get to the charts from around about 1:30, which is about an hour before I stream. If I see any trades, I will take it. But what I like to do is set all my chart up, check me strategy, check me accounts, just check and double check anything so I don't kind of make any mistakes. You know what I mean? Reload all the data, just double check, and then I try and have that kind of relaxing phase where I take a few deep breaths, chill out, and think about the plan for the day. Think about how I'm going to spend my millions that I make. What kind of giant boat I'm going to buy. Am I going to keep this wife or am I going to update her? All the relevant stuff. There does seem to be 2 legs back. Now, I'm pretty sure that bear flag, no one's going to pay any attention to it on this anyway. So we got 2 legs back here. So a second entry long off there, I don't think would be a bad option. So I'm going to see how it plays out. Damn it. Bastard's gone without me. I usually chase them. That's frustrating. gone without me. Damn it. It's gone too quick. Someone else has put too fast as well. Someone's in it. Marco's in it. You got in it quick. Lovely second entry long. Rothick entry point. Didn't come back for a second. That's frustrating. Look at it. I thought that might take off. Damn.
Order cancelled.
That's frustrating. Comfortably made 12 ticks out of that. That's a shame. Sometimes I chase them when I think they're that good. I didn't then. I held. So that's where I've been out. So comfortably be out. That's frustrating. You've not done well pre-market, have you not? It's tough, mate. It's tough to know what to do. The one thing I find about pre-market is it is slower, so you kind of got to be a bit more patient. And that can be hard sometimes, can't it? There is a triple test up there, but the movement seems to be up. So I'm just sitting tight, but this thing could absolutely flush down. Yeah, I know. I didn't used to do it. I used to like trading when I was streaming because I had people watching, and you tend to want to make better decisions, but I can't rely on that forever. So I decided it's okay. Just do it. Just sit there, take the trade if you see it. If you don't see it, don't bother. You know what I mean? But I'm really trying to focus now on not doing anything silly, not taking any risks, just waiting for a setup and taking it. And so far, I feel calmer and things are a bit better. I know it sounds easy, doesn't it, to do that and to say that, but it's something I've really struggled doing, in all fairness. Sometimes I've just taken risks. There is a higher low there, but there's a bunch of support over there, so I wouldn't feel comfortable going into that support. It may rocket up, who knows, but the move's kind of done dust. It is a shame because I think that was nice. 2 clear legs back, nice bullish bar, second entry long, off the key entry point. It was good, I think, that. Trouble is, I've dropped a limit order 1 tick above there and it still didn't get me. It's a shame. Oh, Marco's in again. Good on you, mate. To be fair, we had that bearish bar. There is a possible triple test. You don't know whether this thing may decide to come down. There's always, perhaps that's just a paranoia in me, but there is a higher low, but there's a bunch of support over there, so just concern me. I mean, you can clearly see the support, can't you? What I will say is over the last week or so, the market seems to be better. It's moving. It's more fluid. We're getting nicer moves. Occasionally we have this bit, but it's moving better. We're not stuck in a load of chop. And I'm getting trades. That would have been a trade. If I'd have got in there, I'd have been a trade up. What have I? So the last 5 trades in a row, I've won. And they've all been within 1, 2, 3, 4, within 4 days, 3 or 4 days, which is, I don't usually take that many. So if that would have triggered, I'd have been in and I'd have made the profit, so it would have worked. So that would have been another trade on my belt. So it is working better now. Up until recently, I found it frustrating to hell. Just can't seem to get a break. It's very trappy. Unfortunately, it just means you've got to be super patient. But when you're used to a certain an amount of trades and a certain way of trading, when things change, it just makes you feel a bit weird, out of sorts. It's just lack of it, experience. The more experience we get, the better it gets. But it has been much better lately. I've seen a lot more setups. That one, clearly 2 legs down, going off the key entry point. Unfortunately, it was too quick. And I think that's a fair comment, saying if a trade moves quick and it moves up strong, usually a good setup, if it's good enough and enough people buy there, it's a good enough area, usually it will move relatively quick and relatively strongly. So, one nice setup. I mean, that depends how you look at this. I mean, you could even argue that's kind of a triple test. I didn't really notice that, to be fair. You could say bounce, 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 triple test. It looks like 2 legs back. Trouble is, it's a little bit right in the middle here. So, but the trouble is, sometimes when these patterns play out or the price plays out, things do come into show there. You think, oh, I didn't notice that, because at the time before, at the time it was like this. It seems sideways, and I didn't have this up channel. So that's the trouble, really. It's very easy to mark that after the fact, but in real time, without that, you just don't know what it's going to do. Are we finding support? Is this thing going to continue down? That's the trouble. We don't have the luxury that I've got now of being able to see where price went, and obviously then I can see it was an okay move. So far it's fitting relatively well. You took the second entry long, move signal bar, break even, came back to the tick. Amazing how it does that, isn't it? One thing I don't understand is they go on about, you hear rumours about them knowing where your stops are, them picking your stops off and all this sort of stuff. And then people say, institutions don't work like that, blah, blah, blah. But it's uncanny how it tends to come back. It's got to be. I mean, the systems that they use, I don't know. As a retail trader, your knowledge is limited, really, when it comes to the institutions, how they work. There is bits of knowledge around, but unless you've had any formal training, it's hard to know exactly how they work. But it's uncanny how it comes and gets you for the tick, isn't it? And then off it trots. I suppose the only thing to do is just leave it where it is or hold back. I mean, the one thing about putting your stop to break even is you're taking risk off the table. But on the downside, there's always that possibility to come back and get your stop, or get your order, and then disappear in the same direction. It is frustrating, I've got to say. I'm starting to think now maybe this is from the bottom, the way it's going up. Possibly. I kind of like that. It's hard to say at the moment. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Let's put it back for now. Let's see. Seeking stops. But when it gaps up, it typically comes back. Yeah, I suppose when it pushes up, if people take profits, they sell their profits, which creates sell orders. So naturally, something drops a little bit. So, usually I think when you get that initial push, so if you've got scalpers, I suppose, bigger scalpers scalping a point, when you get that push past a point maybe, or a point and a quarter, people like Mac take the profits, which I think then create that little sell order, which you get that little pullback. So whether it's that or not, I don't know. I'm just sort of running some ideas, but it is frustrating, isn't it? The only thing you can do, mate, is just kind of, you know what I mean? Grit your teeth and hold on. Trouble is, most of us haven't got big healthy accounts. If we all had 50 or 100 grand in the bank and we were risking a couple of $100, you don't mind holding on, do you? But if you're like me and you meagerly trying to build up prop firm accounts, you haven't always got that comfort and luxury to be able to sit back and think, just let it go. hopefully that'll come in time. High time for its price. Yeah, that's the problem. People, you get stuck in that mindset, or I certainly do, that everyone trades the same way as you, but obviously they don't. You know, people are trading the hourly, the 2 hourly, the daily, the 4 hourly, the 5 minutes. There's so many different ways of entering. You know, if I change this to the 1,000 tick chart, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be looking at something that looks a little bit different. So it's really hard to make a judgment, isn't it? As to, it's very tempting. It's really hard to make a judgment, as in, I'm going to have to wait for an ILO here. There is a little channel with a break and a new high. It's very tempting to take that. You could argue it's off the key entry point. I have adjusted it ever so slightly. If it finishes bullish, I may go for a higher low, but yeah, it's a bit neutralish. So, see, it depends how you look at it. If you've got it, just looking at other people's charts there, if you've got it like that, which may be actually, then you've got a little break. Let me just let's have a look on Thomas Wade. Okay, Thomas Wade's got it right from the bottom. So yeah, he's got a break. So it maybe is a break. I think a bunch of us went with that initially, but then when it pushes up, 1, 2, 3, that fits kind of nice. So maybe it is a break. I think it probably is. There's so much to trade, isn't there? You tend to think sometimes the longer you've been doing it, the easier it gets. It doesn't always feel that way, does it? I think because we're taking on board so much more information, that there's so much more, you know, the cogs are churning more and more, I suppose. So, but I suppose the better you get at something, the more information you process in making better decisions. It does take time, and I suppose it seems like it's a little bit more complicated than it maybe is. I remember when I first learned to drive years ago, I'm thinking about changing gear and I'm looking down, what pedals am I pushing? There's too much going on to not have to focus. But when you've been driving a while, you can drive down the road, and we've all drove 10 miles and think, I can't remember going past that roundabout. So after a while, things, you know, the more you get used to something, the more that processing kind of takes care of itself in the background. But I do wonder whether it ever feels very comfortable and perfectly natural, or maybe it is always a challenge. I suppose really when you're competing, I suppose I do kind of look upon trading and like performance, sports performance, something like that, where you've always got to be on your game. You can't go to work and have a lapsy-daisy lazy day because you're going to get walked all over. But I don't know, if you're a bricklayer and you go to work and you mess up a wall, you can take a section down. I've done it myself. Not focusing properly. It doesn't really make much difference to your wages, but it's a different story when you're training. So it does look almost like a performance activity where you've constantly got to be on your game. So, let's see if we can get a little bit of something here, maybe a higher low. I mean, it's broken. It's a small break and a push up. It's moved up quite quick. See, that's come down quite strong. So my concerns were we get something like that. Which could be a leg up, correction, maybe another leg up. It's come down quite quick and pushed up quite quick, so that makes me nervous. Sometimes it does what it does. Let's see. The trouble is, the way it came down and pushed up quickly tells me that it may not be a break. You know, what I found, when you do get a break, the bigger the channel, the bigger the break. And that seemed quite tiny compared to this, and it pushed up quite strong, which tells me if I take that down a tiny fraction, we've got a touch here, a perfect bounce there, and a couple of bars there, and the tops look relatively neat. Okay, so basically that big move, yeah, it looks like it's recovering it all. It does that now and again, doesn't it? I did wonder when we were struggling to get up here whether sometimes it'll have a go, won't it, and then continue down. But we got two legs down there, so it does look like this is on its merry way up some more, I think. So I'm treating this as not a break. I like the fact that we've come down and bounced right off that with a tick and pushed up strong. So it looks better at the top, and I think that looks okay. A break like that, a tiny break like that with a strong push-up doesn't often happen, really, in my experience. If it does, it's usually a bigger channel. Usually I'd expect a little bit more and then up rather than just... That, to me, the way it's hit there, we've pushed down, we've gone across, we've pushed up strong. That tells me it's bouncing off something solid, like the bottom of a channel. So my guess is that's that. Or that's Yeah, just looking at what other people think. He's got the same thing, I think. Has he? No, he hasn't. Why is it touching the top though there? And it's touching the top there and there. Ah, it's a second chart, that's why. 10,000 tick chart. He said still without a break. Okay, so that gives it a little bit more credence. He's gone that way with a spike and an overshoot. I don't think it's an overshoot. We came down. Mind you, sometimes when we have an overshoot, we'll take a steep move down. So sometimes it's not super clear. Thomas Wade's got it. He initially had it with a small break, but I don't think it is. Someone just mentioned there the 10,000 tick chart. It hasn't had a break. So my gut feeling, especially the way it went across and pushed up, that to me is buying in a certain area. So it's not vague enough really for that. It's strong enough. So my thought process is that is a bounce. The fact we've gone down, we've gone across twice and pushed straight up strong tells me a little break often doesn't do that. Now I might be talking out my arse, but there you go. That's my thought process. That's my thoughts on it. Yeah, see, Dan's got it as a break. Maybe it is. He's got it as a break with an overshoot. It's hard to say, really. Trouble is, as the channel develops, if it bounces off here a couple of times, bounces off there perfectly, it's probably likely that. See, he's got that there, basically. That's strange. Why is mine fitted and his is an overshoot? I don't know. I'm going to leave it there for now. I don't think it matters too much. Yes, we may have had a break and a push up, but see, if that's the case, if we have had a break, there could be a triple test there, which means that would be worth taking. Big strong bar. If we've had a break, new high, 2 push up, 2 new. I don't know. There's too much uncertainty for me. No good anyway. See if we get a bounce here. If we get a bounce here, then my gut feeling is there's no break. I wouldn't say that anyway. It's one, it's stacking up. So there may be a break, in which case push up, it could take a pullback. We could have a leg and a leg, but yeah, Dan's put he's not really got confidence in the uptrend. So there's a bit of discrepancy on, is it a spike and channel? Have we had a break? Have we had an overshoot? I don't know. It's big that run. Can adjust that a fraction. See if there is a leg up, we could have a leg and a leg back. So what I'm going to do, this looks like it may break there, so I'm going to put that like that. Actually, let's put it there where I originally had it. So there may be a little overshoot there, but there is a second entry long there. Trouble is, if there is a break with a new high, is this going to come down? So it's a bit risky taking that. Not just that, on the other chart, it's an inside bar at the moment, so I'm just sitting tight here. There's something about this, it's not clear. And I think the simple answer is, if it's not clear, then there's a good chance you got it wrong. I may have it right, but there's also an equal chance I got it wrong, and this may come down and stop that out. It's just a bit unclear. You know, sometimes you can kind of read this chop a bit, but it's a little bit unclear. Which means this could just decide to drop and take that out, because there's bound to be traders going along there, but we could have two legs back and it may clear out this. So I'm just sitting tight at the minute. Trouble is, I'm looking at a guy who's got it as not a break, and if you've got it as not a break, you may decide to take that as a bit of a failed breakout, and my instinct would be that would be a mistake. I think the best thing to do, I used to say this a lot, if you think you've had an overshoot, assume you have, and then just go easy on that next setup, but then you've got a possible higher low there. So trouble is, market's got a habit of doing this, teasing you into it and sucking you in. All of a sudden you jump in and wham, it lifts you up, bangs you on the counter and gives you right good stuffing. And you don't like that. If that ends up bullish, it probably may push up, but there's something about this that ain't super clear. It is a higher low. Trouble is, it's not a small bar and there ain't much room left to the highs. So I'm just going to leave this one. Just looking if anyone else is taking it. Can't see anything yet. Sure. There is a bullish bar and a higher low, so it may work, but there's just something unclear about this. Yeah, it's hard to say. You know, I don't know whether there's anything sort of Marco's took that trade there. See, he's not got it as a break, but Dan has. I didn't think it was a break, in all honesty. In which case, if it's not a break, it's not a bad call. That one probably isn't either, but it is a little bit choppy here. So Marco's in and he's got his points anyway, so he's on his runner now. So the trouble is, it really, really does depend on how you're seeing this. If you've got it like that, which it could be, in that case, it's not a bad move. It is working. That's the trouble. If things aren't super clear, and they're not super clear, I can't find a way where it's working really nice around the midline either. So it's one of those do I don't I. If it worked perfectly, it'd be a no-brainer. If you don't want to take that, and away you go. But it's just one of those things. Long time lurker. I'm curious, how much are you averaging out how much you averaging out per day? Do you know, I don't try and think about the money anymore. Are you on about how much am I profiting per day? I tend to not do that at the moment. I try not to think about the money because it's not done me any favours. I mean, so far this year, mine up until May, I haven't earned anything for a month and a half now. I've had 33,000 in payouts. Probably, I don't know, probably another 5,000, 6,000, 5,000 in affiliates, and then expenses. So I'm up over 30,000 so far for the year. So I'm earning a living out of it. But I try not. I've tried trying to set targets for earning, and I think setting monetary targets in this business, I think sometimes for some people it can set you up to fail, because this is not the type of job where you can go, if I work harder, you know, I mean, I don't know, if you're a carpenter and you saw a bit faster, you might make a few more things, but the only thing you really can do is sit here and wait for the market to offer you something. If it doesn't, you can't do nothing. So, and it's been hard and choppy lately, but, you know, this week I think I'm up per account. I'm up about $460 per account this week. To be honest with you, the way I look at it is if you've got individual accounts, even if you can make an average of $250 per week per account, if you've got 10 accounts, that's potentially paying you $10,000 a month. You can have up to 30 accounts, and that could pay you 3 times that. And that's only making the equivalent of $250. So if I got 2 trades in a week, if I did 3 trades and lost one in a week, I would be up $250 per week. So you don't need to earn a lot of money. So I tend to not think too much about the monetary side. All I'm trying to do now is just sit here and wait for a setup and take it. Nothing more, nothing less. And I think if you can do that and put the money aside, things are better, I think. I don't know how many times I've sat here and calculated up, if I do this, if I do that, can I earn this, can I earn that? And it just sets you up for failure, I think, sometimes. It certainly does with some people. Until yesterday's close. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that big drop was for PPI, so we've recovered nearly all this now. I think PPI started about here, so we're not far away. So often it'll do that, just drop and then recover it all. You never know. I mean, things are quite bullish at the moment. You know, things are sounding quite good. People seem to be relaxed a bit. I know crypto's doing really well. Bitcoin at all-time highs again yesterday, $23,000. Pulled back a little bit, naturally going to. Where is it today? It's 119. Yesterday, Ethereum at all-time highs. That struggled in the last year. You know, XRP's doing well. ADA had a good day yesterday, up 8.5% yesterday. It's up 7.5% today. Link had a good day yesterday. You know, things just seem, you know, the fear and greed index, we're up to 68. So, I don't know, things seem quite positive. Yesterday at all-time highs. I wouldn't be surprised if we hit them again. So, things seem quite positive. Do you know what? I mean, how long you been sat here watching me, Sam? I used to go on and on about if I do this, if I earn this, if I earn that, and it don't work. Do you know the ironic thing is, I can't tell you how many people have told me don't think about the money, and what do you do? Sometimes people tell us to our faces what not to do, and we still do it. The one odd thing about trading is it almost sends you back to being a child where you never listen to anybody. But the best thing to do is to forget the money. If you start thinking about the money, if I make $300, say if I make $150 today and I lose it tomorrow, if I'm thinking about money, first thing I'm thinking is I'm down 150, I've got to get it back. And when you start thinking like that, it alters how you trade. I think the best way to do is not think about the money. At the end of the month, have a look at what you you're going to know what your money is anyway, but don't think about it. I've lost this today, so I need to get it back. Think about taking trades over a monthly period, then looking at what you've got and thinking, okay, I've made this X amount this month. I can afford to pay me that. But if you're going day by day and trade by trade, if you're up a bit, great. If you're down a bit, I need to get it back. All I've got to do now is get another 200 and I'm back to where I was. All that stuff just sets you up for failure. It just makes life so much more stressful. Took me a long time to realise that, but I'm playing the game now like it should be played. Sitting here, waiting for a setup. If I get one, wonderful. If I don't, it doesn't matter. You know, your job really is to sit here and wait for a setup. If you don't get one, you don't take one. You know, all the moaning in the world, oh, I'm frustrated, or thinking you need to try and make it up, or you need to try and squeeze a situation to try and make it work. It does not work. All you can do is sit here, wait for a solid trade, take it, commit. Whether it wins or loses, forget it. Well, if it loses, maybe process it, find out why. Did I miss something? Did I make a mistake? And then move on. So I think it's very hard. Don't get me wrong. I'm not lecturing here, and I'm talking out of experience because, you know, Sam and a lot of other you guys have been here a long time, and you've seen me go through all this process of screwing up. And, you know, every time I lose money, I'm working out how much I need to make. And what that can lead to sometimes is holding on to try and capture a bigger move. And sod's law, the minute you do that, it goes up to where you'd normally take your profit, comes down and stops you out. In other words, it kicks you in the balls when you're already down. So I'm I've got to the stage where I'm that fed up with myself. I'm that pissed off with who I am and the way I've been doing things. I've just decided now just to forget about the money and just to play the game. Sorry if I'm rabbiting on a bit. Pink biscuit. Yeah. The trouble is, Karina, we've all been blinded by the stories of, so-and-so's earned $40,000 this month. So-and-so's, there's been a new biggest payment, 2.6 million. And all we do, when you're in this space, it's quite a small world. And what's it posted yesterday? Bless him, what's his name? Wilson. He's had his struggles. He's just hit his target and put in for a $20,000 payment. When you see that, you start seeing dollar signs. And when things take longer than you think, you try to rush them and you take gambles and risks trying to speed things up. And all it does is takes longer. You know, you think, yeah, but if I rush it and I get a bit lucky for a few days, it'll give me a bit of a boost. It's exactly how I've thought. But if you end up doing that for a year or two, think about how big your accounts would have been if you wouldn't have done that. You know, 6 months of building accounts, you can have a fair old amount of money just to tide you over and give you a nice wage every month and then leave a little bit in to continue to grow it. But trying to rush the process, all it does, you'll get lucky once or twice, maybe even 3 times. Now and again, you'll get lucky and you'll end up taking a payment. But it's unsustainable. It does not work. The only way to do it is just to think, I'm going to sit here, take a trade. Now, you'll have losses and you'll make mistakes and you'll take impulsive trades. You know, we're all relatively inexperienced in the grand scheme of things. And we're human beings, we're impulsive. So we will make mistakes. I've had to learn to forgive myself for doing something silly, but all you can do then is learn from it, put it aside, and carry on exactly the same as you did before. And if you do that, and you obviously have built some skills, you need some skills as well, obviously. You can't just have the best discipline in the world and the best loss discipline in the world with no skills. You obviously need some skills, but if you combine those two, you'll start to make money. You know, I've heard people say trading is not actually that difficult when you do it right. And it's right, but, you know, obviously add the emotional connection, that throws a spanner in the works. But yeah, you're right, Karina, it's greed. I want to grow too quick. You know, we've all heard the saying a million times, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. No one said you can't get rich. There are people out there who are making a stink load of money. The possibilities are endless, but it's down to you. But it takes time to grow. You can't make money like that overnight. Sure, if I've got the skills to trade and someone gave me $500,000, I'm pretty sure I can make myself a tidy little living every month. But, you know, most of us haven't got access to that sort of money. We've either got to start with a small account or take the prop route. That's why the world outworks, yeah. We know the potential of having lots of money. We know the kind of lifestyles we can have, the houses we can have, the holidays we can have, the cars we can drive. And that sort of flicks little dollar signs in your eyes. And when you're hearing people, you know, it's this trader, he's bought that car or this car, or he's had this payment this month. It's very easy to get blinded by that. And it's something inside takes over and you go, I'll have a go at this. I'm moving my stop. How many times have you guys sit here and seen me move my stop? And I'm relying on luck and hope. But luck and hope, they don't belong in the trading world. They really don't. But, you know, we all do it. You have to go through that process. And I've said it before. It's almost like banging your head against the wall. At some point, you stop doing it because it hurts. It doesn't do any good. Sorry if I'm lecturing a bit today, but when I talk like this, it helps me as well. It you know, solidifies this information in my head. This is a bit hard going today, isn't it? See how nice it's moving though. So, how long have I been going for? Exactly an hour. I'm going to take a quick couple of minute break. I need to replenish me fluid sources, and I'll be a few minutes. So, just get rid of that. Okay, so is that a break and a push up? It may well be. It's weird how we had that 2 legs down and a quick move up. So, tough one. No really entry, to be fair, so I'm going to get rid of that. In fact, let's move it over. So, just quickly to reiterate on what I was talking about money and making money. One thing I've noticed, now I don't mean this disrespectfully to a couple of traders. I'm going to mention 2 traders that I watch from time to time. Alpine and Nutty. Both nice people. Nutty particularly, I think he's a really nice guy. Now, you see some of their payments. I think Nutty's up to 175,000. Now, the trouble is, you may think, oh yeah, Nutty's doing it. He's only been doing it a few years. I can make that sort of money. The trouble is, the only way he's made that money is to go through lots of accounts. If you watch him, he blows accounts every week, but he just buys more. And he goes for riskier trades. So he has a slight edge and plays the numbers. But I tell you something now, him and Alpine will be making a stack of money from affiliates. I would suggest something along the lines of 10,000 a month comfortably on affiliates. So that will help them to process that and buy loads. Now, you may seem R3, 500 a day, like some of them making. It's not realistic, especially on $50,000 accounts. The $50,000 account is bullshit. What you're trading is a $2,500 account. That's it. And you can't make safely $300 every single day comfortably on $2,500. 5 days, you're making $1,500 a week. So with a $2,500 account, if you're making $300 a day, that's $1,500. You'd be making 80% a week profit. You can't make 80% a week profit as a consistent trader. It's never going to happen. These institutions don't even make 80% per month. I think a lot of them are making tiny amounts, small amounts, 2, 3, 5%, maybe some of them 20%. You can't make 80% profit a week without taking big risks and risks that are going to blow those accounts. And the reason they're doing it that way is because they have $2,500 with these accounts, but it's only cost them maybe 200. So they're playing that game that only really works with the and I watching these guys for a while and thinking, I want to try and make that. It's unrealistic. You can't do it without taking big risks. And big risks in this business means blown accounts. Right, just quickly. That's what I liked, not as a break. And Max got the same. So he's not looking at it as a break. So I'm pleased with that. I like what he's doing there. The only difference he's done is he's put his to there. But he's not got that as a break. It didn't look like a break to me. So the only difference is he's done that from there. So it's more like that. So there's the break and obviously the move up. So institution making 1-3% on bit. Exactly. You can't make money. You can't make... I dare say there are some traders making 20% a month. It's not the... You're going to be taking bigger risks, but... you can't, I mean, like Alpine, you'll see him an average $300 a day on a $50,000 account. Well, the reason he does it that way, but then it might work 6 or 8 days in a row, but then he'll have a red day and lose $1,500 on an account, and that's gone, and then ends up blowing an account. They're just trading that way because it's the kind of with the prop firm element makes you able to do that. But prop firms know that people are doing this, and they're starting to rule out those. They're starting, you couldn't trade your own money like that. It wouldn't work. So, I've come to that conclusion that I can't trade like that. I have to go for small amounts. So in all fairness, if I can make $250 per week per account, I'm more than happy with that. And that's still 10% a week on a 2.5. That's still a huge amount compared to the institutions. So if I take 3 trades in a week, 2 of them win, 1 of them lose, I'm up about 150. What am I? So if I make 150, I'm up about, if I can take 3 trades a week and then I lose one, say, I'm up about 250 to 300 a week. So, if that is what I think is reasonably realistic. But going for 200, 300, 400 a day and bigger amounts just doesn't work. But, I dare say there are some people that, that do well out of it. There's bound to be. But the trouble is, we all hear these stories about he's paid 40,000, he's paid that, he's paid this. There are some people who do it, but they're playing a risky game. But the beauty about prop firms, if you've got 20 prop accounts and you're making even $250 per week, you've got 10 accounts, 2.5, you're making, that's $5,000 a week just doing 250. You know what I mean? It's a lot of money. You can earn plenty of money. And then, I think when traders tend to make money, that's when things can grow exponentially because they can add new prop accounts. They can start taking some of the money in and trading their own account as well. And then profits they can make, they can put into investments as well. And usually you'll find when people start to get quite amount of money, their wealth just tends to grow. We all, most of us go through life with dreams, don't we, of earning this and earning that. And when you get into this space, you realise how much money there is out there, and you kind of overdo it, trying to rush to get there instead of taking a nice slow pace. But some people learn it quicker. Other people like me are a bit more stubborn and take a bit. Exactly. You never really know how much somebody earns until you properly look into their finances. You never really know because all sorts of things can be bullshitted and made up. All sorts of things. Yeah, you never really know. But, what I will say is you're going to make more money as a trader than doing most other jobs, put it that way. So, and you're going to work less hours and you're going to have a lot more freedom and control. That's part of the reason that excites me about this, because I don't tend to trade till 1:30. I've had the luxury, of making my daughter a breakfast in bed and taking her to school and, you know what I mean, do the shopping and run the Uber around and take the dogs out. I like that. I've had that luxury. Certain jobs I've done in the past where I've had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to start at 4, and I've had to walk 2 miles in the freezing snow to a job, to someone who doesn't appreciate me and work my ass off for 12 hours. It stops all that. Really, when you can trade and you've got that skill, you've got a skill for life. You never have to worry about being sacked, being made redundant. If you're feeling ill, anybody can sit at a desk in your own, can't you, when you're feeling ill? I need to have a different sort of side wording. Absolutely. See, I was lucky there. When I first learned to trade and I realised I wanted to do it, after probably 12 months, I decided instead of working Monday to Friday, I would work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I wanted to fit my employment round my trading because I saw the potential and I knew it's something I wanted to do. And then when I started making bits of money, I went down to working just the weekends. And then when I started to make bits from payments, I think nothing the first year. The second year, I earned $8,000, I think, plus money from me affiliates, and it gave me a wage enough to not to have to go to work. And then last year, I think I did $26,000, and with your bits of affiliates, it was enough of a wage of again. This year, you know, with me affiliates and what I've earned, taking away expenses, I'm still over 30,000. We're only just over halfway through the year. So, yeah, you know, the pattern is I'm progressively making more money every year. So I'm lucky in the way that I was able to sort of take advantage of these affiliates. It's not why I started it. I never even heard of affiliates when I started streaming. My thought process with streaming is just if someone's watching me, I'm less likely to do something stupid. And I wanted to connect with other people as well. If I can't, you know, you learn what I might have learned the other day, and I learn what you learned the other week, and you know, you kind of, when you're in that loop, you kind of all learn from each other and help each other. And then the affiliates were just a bonus. They allowed me to obviously offset a lot of my costs and being able to, you know, come down to sort of being able to work full time. And now I'm kind of sustaining it at the moment. ETFs long term, that is income. Yeah. I mean, you know, can you earn a living at absolutely. Can you earn a lot of money? Absolutely. But you're not going to do it overnight. It's going to take you quite a few years. There are some that may be earning a good living in a couple of years. You know, like every walk of life, some people are naturally good at certain things. One of my strong points is being able to take an absolute battering and come back tomorrow. But also one of my weaknesses is taking risks. I've taken too many and at the wrong time. So, but funnily enough, my patience was awful. I always thought my patience was the one thing I would struggle with most of all. I think it's probably my strongest asset at the moment. I can sit here for 4 hours and not take a trade, and it doesn't bother me in the slightest. I couldn't sit here for 4 minutes and not take a trade, going back a couple of years. But it's weird, isn't it? Some things you think you'd find hard, you find easy, and vice versa. So what do you do for a living, Karina? I'm guessing maybe a model, ballerina, something like that. I'm guessing. I was a chef when I first left school. I went to college. And I was a chef in hotels and restaurants for about 10 years. And I had the love of food. Daily. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? All this tariffs, and then sort of early April. Look how that just turned. Look how quick that recovered. I mean, this is a great thing to invest in for pensions and stuff like that, savings, pensions. And really, down here would have been an ideal time to start buying in. Look at that. What did it go down? Something like 18% or something crazy. That's what I love about, especially US indices. They recover so quick. You guys definitely have stronger growth in the US than we do in the UK. Is this thing continuing on up or what? So we've broken the highs this morning. So that big move down recovered it all relatively rapidly, I'd say. So are we going to have a couple of legs and then push up to? I wouldn't be surprised. It's quite a strong market at the moment. Probably is that daily. Let's have a look. Is it a bit overbought? I wouldn't necessarily say so. We had that big move up before it came sideways. We're not actually up that far, are we? So we pulled back. We had quite a strong move. We pulled back. We haven't had much of a move, so we certainly could continue up there relatively strongly, I'd have suggested. So let's see if we can get something down here. I got no issues with that. I'm working in a bakery now. Are you really? Bread's one of my passions, actually. I make sourdough. 3 a week, I'd say on average. I've been making the stuff for years. I love it. My whole family loves it. I probably make about 3 loaves a week. Sourdough. Chelsea buns as well as another one I like. Ice buns, Chelsea buns, stuff like that. Cornish pasties. I like baking, that type of stuff, but bread, something about bread, I think. Thinking of moving to Austria. I went to Austria when I was 21 to work there, but I ended up going to France in the end. But I went to a ski resort in Meyerhofen in Austria. Beautiful Austria. All that part of the world's nice. But yeah, I love bread. Sourdough, you can't bake the stuff. Once you go sourdough, you never go back. Sourdough and single malt. Yeah, there's one of mine. It's got olives. You can see the olives there. Olives and dates in there. What's that? That was 2022. There's another one there. It's got sunflower seeds around it. When was that? That was 2022. Can't beat sourdough. Another one there. When was that? Oh, these are all around 2022. Another sourdough. I used to post them years ago. I don't bother so much now. There's another one. Wow, that's a little bit earlier there. It's 2020. That's 5 years ago. Can't beat. If you've never tried sourdough, trust me, try it. It's amazing. It's beautiful, fresh, and then toasted after that. It's a bit hard when you first get the hang of it. It takes a while. Baking's a skill, especially bread making. It takes quite a while. I don't want to sound like Mac, but it does take a while. So much we can do up here, really. We need to get some sort of a move. So now trouble is, now we've had that break and a couple of legs up to a new height. It's hard to know what's going to happen now. Now, yesterday, I think the majority of the day was kind of ranging in this area with the exception of that little breakout. So this thing could turn down now and start to range. So it's hard to know what to do here. So I wouldn't consider a long trade here just at the moment. That's congested anyway because I'd be assuming it's going up. But after the break, I think you've got to give us a bit of space. Just wondering if there's any other type of a channel here that may work. Tough one. Sean, if you draw the large up channel, a spike in channel fits pretty well. You're including that, yeah? Someone like there. Yeah, done too. It's just hard to know, isn't it? There's so many ways you can adjust this thing. Trouble is, if you adjust it without a break, you could possibly take a trade here. If it's had a break, you've kind of got to wait. Start from the higher low at the bottom. Higher low. And about here. You're on about there, are you? On there. Oh, there. You're on about down here. Trouble is, you're missing all them touches. That's the thing. I think that's initially how I had that. And then we thought there was a break, which I didn't like. Trouble is, it could be. It doesn't necessarily. Sometimes it doesn't fit perfectly. I'd expect it to fit a little better. It's a tough one. You have the spike and channel, no break, overshoot on. So you have the spike and channel, no, but an overshoot. Yeah, so you're going more something like that, aren't you? Let's put that back in there. I think I think it's important to get a bunch of touches. So touch, 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 touch. If I pull that down a fraction, there is a small overshoot. I actually prefer that. Touch, 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 touch. That looks about right, but then we've got an overshoot. Now, it might not be an overshoot. We could move that up a touch. But which is right? It's hard to say. So the trouble is, it helps if you note that before you take a trade. So, no, I did drop an order in, where was it? How's that trade? I did drop an order in there, but it took off in a second, and a load of us missed it. But there was a second entry short, 2 legs down, second entry short. Retouch has been a strong move. Yeah, it has. So I actually dropped an order in there, but it went without me. So would have been the one. To be honest with you, if I can get one trade a day, I'm more than happy. So we got a little channel with a break and a quick drop down there. So it's possible we've had a break, but we may not. So it's not super clear. Just not really much you can do at the moment. We coming down and we going up. That's what I mean. I mentioned that earlier. Most of yesterday was a range. That's what I mean. We've broken across the highs and pulled back, so it could just start to range. That's the trouble. If you've had an overshoot or a break, you've really kind of got to sit tight and give it a bit of space because it could decide to come back down into a range. I mean, if we end up having a couple of legs down here, another test of this area, and then down here later, then it's just generally ranging. So that's the trouble. Half the battle is getting the direction right. And as we know, this thing is going up and down in all sorts of different directions. But we do seem to be finding a bit of support here, so we may get something further up here. It's hard to say, really. Yeah, you just never know when you're going to get a trade, really, do you? You never know. but it is going a bit sideways here, so it could pop up, it could come down. I got no idea. Usually it will pick off little bits of liquidity, so I expect that area to get, looks like it is. I was thinking about that bar there, but and we could get a triple test here, then maybe a higher low. If the triple test is too congested, maybe a higher low, and it may continue on up. Okay, I think I'm done for the day. We're doing about, I've done about, well, an hour and 40 on the stream, about 2:40. I'm going to go and take an half an hour break, have some lunch, and I might come back an hour later. So best of luck to you guys. Have a good day. I'll be back tomorrow, Friday, and we'll do it all again. Have a great evening. Stay safe, and we'll catch up tomorrow. Bye for now.